Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall Psychic, all the way from the Gold Coast. What a fantastic week it's been around this amazing planet of ours. Look, I know that we've still got fires raging in many continents around the world, and my heart goes out to those people, particularly in Hawaii, where, you know, the death toll is still counting, and then we've got it over in Europe and around the Mediterranean. It just seems to me to be unmistakable how people can still sort of deny that global warming is a real thing. But anyway, that's another topic for another day. So I hope wherever you are in this amazing planet of ours, you're enjoying the end of the season, whether you're here in Australia and we're enjoying the end of winter, or if you're in the Northern Hemisphere and you're enjoying the end of summer. It's signifying that, you know, the year is creeping by. Before we know it, we'll be getting the Christmas decorations out and, you know, another year's bitten the dust. But anyway, this week we're going to focus on the Simply Tarot card of the week, which is the Judgment card. Now, the Judgment card is a fairly ambiguous card. People look at this card and say, well, what on earth does this mean? Does it mean, is it my last judgment? Am I about to pass away and leave this planet? No, it doesn't mean that at all. It's decisions pending finality. Now, when we've got a decision that's pending finality, it means it's the final decision. We might have tossed and turned about the decision, but the decision is final. So the decision pending finality, the only decision that can be made under the circumstances. Now, I'm sure, like me, you've been many times in your life where you've struggled with a decision that you have to make. You're running out of time. You've only got a couple of minutes or a couple of hours, and you've got to make this decision. And you've tossed it backwards and forwards in your mind, and you come to the conclusion it may not be the decision you hoped you could make or the one that you would have liked to have made, but you know it's the only one that can be made under the circumstances. It's the best option for everybody concerned. That's what this card means. So for it to come out as the card of the week, it means many of us are going to be facing a fairly big decision, something that's been weighing us down for quite some time. It's not just been something for a couple of hours, something that we've given a lot of thought to, and that we've come to the conclusion that this is the only decision or the only choice that we can make moving forward. So it is a powerful card. It is part of the major arcana. It's not a card to be dismissed if it comes out in a reading, because it means it is serious. It's a major decision that you have to make, and it's something that most of the time we don't like to use the word life-changing, but it can come into that category of a life-changing choice or decision. So please, if you've got a major decision to make in the next few days or the next week, make sure that you've considered all the options before you sort of say, right, that's the only decision I can make under the circumstances. I'm comfortable with it, and it's the best decision I can make. So this week we're moving into the astrological section. I mean, each week I say it seems to get bigger and more exciting and different and whatever, and it does seem to be that way. I mean, I've been studying or working with astrology for over 40 years, and I don't think I've known such an exciting period as far as transiting astrology of the things that influencing our lives at the moment just seem to be very illuminated and very powerful. So we've got the last couple of days of the sun in Leo before the sun moves into Virgo for its 12-monthly transit there. So the sun is really sort of enjoying the last little peekaboo, I suppose you could say, the grand finale on the stage, taking the last bows before it moves into Virgo. So we've got the sun's, you know, remaining in Leo for the next couple of days. So the fire signs have got their last little hurrah. That's Leo, Sagittarius, and Aries, and the opposite sign of Aquarius. We also have Mercury, the planet of communication, is going direct at the moment, which is good news. We like it when Mercury is going direct. Is actually conjunct or holding hands Mars, the planet of action. Now, Mars is the planet of action, but it's also the planet of drive. It's where our ego comes from. It's where our motivation comes from. It's what gets us out of bed of a morning. So Mercury, the planet of communication, feels very comfortable sitting in Virgo because it rules Virgo, and it likes things to be just so. You know, it likes everything to be articulate, very clear, very concise. Don't fluffy it up. Just give me the facts. And that's how Virgo likes it. Now, Virgo is holding, Mercury is holding hands with Mars in Virgo at the moment. So there could be some real major breakthroughs when it comes to communication. It doesn't matter what your star sign is. If you've got some important conversation or some important communication that needs to be shared at the moment, whether it be by verbally, telephone, cell phone, email, SMS, text message, or any other modern device of ways that we we send or communicate these days, then this is it. Now, it could be that the person or persons that are going to receive this are not necessarily got their listening ears on and their looking eyes on. Maybe they're glancing over the top of it or not listening to the conversation, saying, yeah, I understand, but they're only half there. Well, if that's the case, Mars is going to turn around and give them a slap around the ear hole and say, listen here, you've got to start listening or looking and understanding what the message is that's being shared with you, particularly if it's of an important nature. This is not the time to be sort of preoccupied and looking somewhere else. This is the time where you really do have to listen or understand what's being communicated with you, because it is of great importance. It not necessarily is it always going to be life-changing, but it is an important piece of information that you do need to absorb and understand and act upon. We also have Jupiter, the planet of expansion, luck and opportunity, is sitting in Taurus at the moment, and he's enjoying his little stay there. Jupiter sits in a sign for approximately 12 months at a time. Now, he's making a very interesting aspect that we don't often talk about here on the show, which is known as a square. So a square means there's limitations, there's restrictions, there's work to be done here. So Jupiter here is sitting in Taurus, is making a square or a 90-degree angle to Venus, the planet of love and affection, sitting in Leo. Now, Jupiter wants to expand everything out. It wants to sort of encourage us to sort of explore our horizons, look at which in ways that we can improve our personal well-being, we can improve our personal finances, that we can start to take care of ourselves in a bigger, grander, more important sort of way. And there's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with having big dreams and, having the ability to maybe try and make these big dreams a reality. But when you've got a square here, it's saying, now, hang on a minute, err on the side of caution. Things aren't going to go always as easily as you expect them to. Expect that there may be a couple of little hurdles to overcome here. There may be a few oppositions or restrictions here that you need to process and get through. Now, Venus is the planet of love and affection. Now, Venus is sitting in Leo. So Venus is saying, but I want to do it in a very proud, dramatic, dynamic sort of way. After all, the world is my stage. I can do anything that I really want to do. And it's not necessarily saying that you can't achieve these things and you can't achieve big dreams. What it's saying is just make sure that you do it in a way that is toned down a little bit. Make sure that you've covered your bases well. Make sure that you've got a good foundation underneath you. If you're launching something new, make sure that everything's in place. Then, of course, go out there and sort of say, look at me, aren't I fantastic, and demonstrate to the world how amazing you are. But make sure you've got a good, solid foundation underneath you first. I think that's the important thing, that we need to make sure that we have a good, solid foundation there. Uranus, the planet of the unusual and the unexpected, I sort of relate it to like the Tower card in the tarot. It's like the bolt of lightning hitting the ground that's coming out of nowhere. It's taking us by surprise, good, bad, or indifferent. So Uranus is making a beautiful aspect. It's known as a trine to Mercury and to Mars. Now, Uranus, as I just said, is the planet of the unusual and the unexpected, of happenings, things that are happening very quickly. Now, Uranus has been sitting in Taurus now for some years, still going to be there for quite some time yet. So Uranus is trying to create the opening of stability here. It's trying to sort of say that, look, there's many, many things that can happen in our lives, but we have to try and make sure that we work with the unexpected, the unpredictable of the nature of how I work. Even though I'm sitting in Taurus, which likes predictability, likes stability, likes things to be stable, likes to make decisions slowly, Uranus doesn't always allow us to do that. Now, with the trine here to Mercury, which is the planet of communication, so there's going to be some sudden communication. Hopefully it's going to be good, because that's what a trine would indicate, that there's going to be a major breakthrough in communication somehow. And also, this is also conjunct Mars, the planet of action. So we've got a double-edged sword here on the planet, of things moving very, very suddenly, with Uranus at one end of the trine and Mars at the other end in Virgo, sort of saying, okay, we've got communication and action happening in Virgo, which is articulate, is very much making sure that we've got all our I's dotted and our T's crossed. But Uranus is saying, I'm going to make this happen very, very quickly. So if you've been waiting on some communication or some decisions or some answers, whether it be financial or legal or just some changes in your life, then it could very well happen in this next week, because Uranus here is stirring everything up. It's creating things to happen. We're getting some fast results, and it should go in your favour. I'm saying should, just because it's a trine doesn't mean every single person is going to experience it in a positive way. Sometimes things have to be negative to clear the garbage out of our lives and to clear the pathway so that then the end result can be positive, but it doesn't always start out that way. Sometimes it starts out being sort of quite stressful and not what we wanted, and thinking, oh, well, that wasn't how I wanted it to be. But then when we progress through the situation or the issue, in time we see that this was actually a better result than what we'd been hoping for. Had we stayed on the original course, we may not have got as much out of the deal or the opportunity as we could have done, because Uranus came along and, you know, tipped everything upside down, but did it in a way that it cleared the pathways for a much, much better result, which is good. So, you know, if you've got communication that you've been waiting on, or an answer you've been waiting on because you've applied for a loan or whatever the case may be, if it's not necessarily good news to begin with, take it in your stride and say, okay, there's got to be another solution here. There's got to be another answer. This is happening for a reason, because I'm going to get a better result than what I first thought. So work with the energy, don't work against it. You know, we can all get frustrated at times and say a few choice words, and that's okay. But then pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and look for an alternative solution, would be my suggestion here. We also have Pluto, the planet of transformation, and doing his little dance in Capricorn, which he will be doing until early part of 2024. Now, I know I've been talking about Capricorn probably as long as I've been on this show, but Pluto is such a really major change for the whole world. And he's been in Capricorn for such a long time now, since 2007, 2008. And his role has been to bring things out into the open, to make governments more transparent, to bring things out into the open, things that we might not have necessarily considered urgent before. We've had to sort of bring things out so that people can see them out of the darkness into the light and start to sort of change their thinking. And global warming comes under this heading. You know, we used to talk about it, but we never talked about it in an urgent fashion as we are now. As we're starting to see the world changing, we're seeing weather events, things like that, once in 100-year floods happening every 12 months, every 2 years, instead of once in 100 years. They're happening more frequently. We've got more fires around the world. We've got more snow events. We've got more rain events. We've got more of everything. We do need to sit up and take notice. We can't just leave it for the next generation to try and sort out. We've got to start to take action now. That's one area that Pluto's been really hammering down our throats, to sort of try and make us realise that we have an opportunity to make changes. And if there was one thing, that positive thing that came out of the world shutdown with COVID, was nature started to repair itself. You know, the animals were distressed and upset because we humans weren't there to interact with them. But in another way, there was a calmness there with nature, that everything was sort of just taking a little breath, was having a little rest. Maybe, I'm not saying we need another pandemic to make that happen, but maybe we need to learn some of the lessons from that how the world and nature did respond when we all had to stay at home, and we all had to sort of sit there and contemplate our navel and wonder what was next in our lives and where we were going from here. So we can all play our part as Pluto starts to end its reign in Capricorn. It's asking each and every one of us to see whether or not there's anything that we can contribute to the world stage. Is there some little thing that we can start to do to help with global warming? If you've never done recycling, now may be the time to get that recycling bin and start doing things like that. Start saying no to extra packaging and things like that when you shop. All those little things might seem little, but if each person takes a little step, then it becomes a major step forward for mankind. And we all need to do that. Look, I'm, you know, pretty ancient now, and I can remember when I was a little kiddo, you didn't go to the supermarket or the market and buy a packet of cookies or biscuits, and they were wrapped up in pretty packaging with beautiful, colourful pictures on the front and cellophane and, you know, nicely presented. You went in and you bought them from the local grocer, and he put them in a bag, in a paper bag out of a big tin here in Australia. So maybe we need to get back to some of those sort of things and refuse this very fancy, expensive packaging that just ends up in landfill. We all just obliviously buy things with our eyes, throw it in the trolley. Well, if we went back to something like that where things were in plain packaging, I'm sure we all know what a a biscuit or a cookie looks like, or a packet of something. We don't need a colour photo on a cardboard package or a cellophane package to tell us what's inside the package. Just my thought for the week. Anyway, we're going to take our first caller, and it's Tia in Rock Hill, South Carolina. Are you there, Tia? I'm sorry to pronounce your name incorrectly, sweetie.
Oh, you're fine. It's Tia.
Do you have a question I can answer for you, Tia?
I don't have a specific question. However, I would like to ask I have a general.
Yeah, sure.
Something general, like a general reading.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I just usually ask if there's a question so that, because we've got such limited time on the show, that I make sure I answer what you phoned into the show for. First thing that they're showing me, do you feel as if your life has gone through a little bit of a pause recently? It's like, finally I can exhale. It's like I had a really, really tough couple of years where I didn't seem to have time for me. Now they're sort of showing me there's a little bit of lull in your life at the moment, and this is for you to catch your breath here before we sort of move on to a very, very busy period again. So it's a good time, I think, to sort of just allow yourself to either catch up on some jobs around the house that you haven't had time to do, or just do something indulgent. Take yourself on a vacation, do something for you before we get ready for this next busy period. So in 2024, are you looking to make some new changes in your life? Are you looking to sort of make some changes around the house, or maybe even potentially move? Because they're showing me a question mark around where you're living.
Interesting.
Okay, well, that's what they were showing me. Doesn't mean you have to move, but they were showing me that there was either going to be changes, and that can be renovations, or there could be, the decisions, particularly around March next year, where you're looking at, is this where I want to be? Is this where I want to be for the next 5 to 10 years, or is it time to make a decision or a choice now? It's interesting because I also sort of feel that whatever changes you've made health-wise, and I'm not a medical practitioner and I'm not giving medical advice, but what I'm suggesting to you is whatever changes you've made in your lifestyle, in your regimes in the last 6 to 12 months, keep it up, because your energy levels are starting to become really good again. It's like I feel like I'm a lot younger than what your chronological years are telling you. Sort of you look in the mirror and say, oh, yeah, I've got a few wrinkles and this, that, and the other. But physically wise, you're jumping out of your skin. There's more energy there. There's clarity in thinking. Things are certainly on an upward swing for you. So whatever changes you made, I want you to continue it, because it's really, really working, and that's good. Also, too, I feel that there's been not necessarily a change of friendships, but sort of more, I'm putting them into categories now. There's people that I want to continue to grow a friendship with or connection with, and then there's others that, look, I wouldn't be bothered if they disappeared out of my life. It's sort of like we don't have much in common anymore. That's also just indicating major changes in your life, because when we're going to come to a major turning point in our lives, not so much we overanalyze, but we analyze every area of our life. It's like we pick everything up, look it over, turn it over, put it down, pick it up again, have another look at it. And friendships come into the same category. It's just an indication to me that we're ready to move into a new, different phase in your life, and not everything can go with you. It's like we need to sort of pick and choose what we need to take with us, and that includes friends. So I hope that's helped you, Taylor, with your reading. So we're going to talk with Kathy now in Norwalk in California. Are you there, Kathy?
Hi, yes, I'm here.
Do you have a question I can answer for you, Kathy?
Well, it seems like me and my mom and my brother, we just can't catch like a good break. I don't know, like we want to move like really bad, but we're not sure how to do it right now, because it's hard for us right now.
No, I'm sorry to hear that, Kathy. It's always difficult when you know in yourself that it's time for a change or it's time for a move, and yet the universe is not accommodating. There's not enough money, or you haven't found the right place to move to, or there's other restrictions, other blockages in our lives that are preventing you from doing that. It's interesting because as you were talking to me, and sharing with me your question, they were showing me the symbol of change, transformation, and opportunity coming up. But I also had question marks around that, of whether or not this is actually the right time, that we should be trying to push for this change. I'm not saying that a move isn't inevitable, that it will happen, but I'm not sure that it's going to happen just now. I think you're a little bit ahead of where the universe wants you to be. It's really, really interesting because psychically I just got a waft of a really sweet smelling perfume. And when they give me something like that on a psychic level, that's usually that means that there's somebody in spirit that's really, really looking after you, that's looking down on you. Is there somebody that you can relate to in a passed over relative, that maybe a grandmother or an aunt or something, that used to wear a beautiful, sweet smelling perfume? Because if you can, that's who the message is coming from, that they're cradling you in their arms, that they're looking out for you and your mum and your brother, and they're sort of saying, don't worry, everything's going to be okay. It's just not quite the right time yet. Has your mum not been well?
Well, she just came out of a nursing home back in May.
Okay.
She has rheumatoid arthritis, but she's getting the care from us and from other help, like nurses and stuff.
Mm-hmm. So why did she come out of the nursing home? Did she not like it there? Was she not happy there?
Well, she's been in there a while and she wanted to come home. Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand that. I can understand her wanting to be with you children and be, to the things that are familiar. I can't imagine being, put into a situation like that where you've lost all your rights, in a sense, haven't you? You can't just sort of say, I'm going to bed when you want to and do this. You've got to conform to the rules around you. It's interesting because I am seeing someone coming in that's going to help you facilitate this move. Now, I don't know whether that's connected to your mum's care or whether it's just, to me, it had an official feel around it. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean it very much in a positive way. There is help at hand and there will be a move, and there will be a move that will be appropriate for all the household members, like it'll be easy for your mum to get around and everything like that. Could you place who that person was in spirit with the perfume? Because they're wafting that perfume again in front of me, as if it's really important that you know who it is.
Mom, is it grandma maybe? It could be my mother's mom.
Okay, grandma, yeah. Yeah, that's what I felt. I knew it was an older lady, but it's not a strong perfume. It's a sweet smelling perfume. It's very comforting. And she's certainly very much around you all at the moment and taking care of you all. So, it's important to sort of just acknowledge that she is there, that, you have other people on the other side that are working hard for you. And yeah, she's telling me now that's who she is. Yeah, she's very excited that you've worked out who she is, and she's just so excited that she was able to get a message through. I don't know that when she was here on earth that she sort of believed in the life hereafter, but she certainly believes in it now. And she's just so excited to come through. That's really lovely. So she's telling me to share with you, don't panic. There's changes coming. There will be a move or news of the move around October. So there's going to be somebody that's going to come forward, that's going to give you a helping hand, that's going to enable this to happen and to be the right sort of place to be. And she's really pleased that you've got mum with you. She said mum wasn't happy where she was, and she keeps showing me that not necessarily is mum going to, go back to being 20, but she's certainly showing me more relief coming from mum's health issues, that, each day mum's getting stronger and less pain, and, she's got a smile on her face, and that's good. Is your brother looking for a job, is he?
Excuse me?
Yeah, is he looking for work? Because they're showing me a new job. They're showing me new work.
Maybe my brother.
That's what I said. Is your brother looking for a job? Because they're showing me new work around him.
He hasn't said anything about it.
No, well, that might be a surprise. But anyway, there's a new job coming for him, which he's really happy about. And just know your grandma's watching over all of you. She's there with each and every one of you. And she's so proud of what you're doing. And, She just says, just believe that, everything's in hand. Things are going to start to get better. The first step to things getting better was you taking mum out of that facility and sort of, caring for your mum again. That was the first step in the right direction. And she's really proud of all of you. So it's good. Are you going to stay in California though? Or are you going to move a little bit further inland?
We want to stay in California.
Yeah, but I'm just sort of seeing, because I'm in Australia and I'm not sure, where exactly in California you are, but to me, you weren't going to move closer to the coast. You were going to move sort of more inland a little bit, but still in California, like 5 miles away or something like that. But it was a pretty place where you were going to. And life seems to be a lot less stressful. So that's all I can tell you, sweetie. That's where we've got to leave, Kathy. So we've come to the end of the show, and each week the show goes very, very quickly. This week the song of the week was a no-brainer for me. Just before the show I was watching the TV, catching up on the world events, and on came a segment about one of my ultimate favourite singers who was diagnosed with cancer 12 months ago. And it was a great shock here in Australia because we truly love this man, and we just lost Olivia Newton-John, and they were great friends, and I think the whole country went into a total state of shock there. We were trying to dry our eyes over Olivia, and then we got the news that John Farnham had mouth cancer. Well, today I'm pleased to announce that he's been cleared of cancer, and he is certainly going to revel in the success of. There's been a new movie made called Finding Your Voice, and John Farnham is now free of cancer. And I want to leave you with what I think is the most iconic song that John's ever sung, and relaunched his career 30 odd years ago now again for the next time. And it's called You're the Voice. And here in Australia, it's sort of like our unofficial national anthem, and even Coldplay have called it that when they were out here promoting, when we had many bad bushfires about 10 years or so ago, and they called John onto the stage to sing it with them. So I'm going to leave you with one of my ultimate favourites from John Farnham, and it's a really powerful song. It's a song that everybody can get behind. It's been featured in a number of movies throughout the years. It's called You're the Voice. So until next week, bye for now.